Quebecois cuisine. Picture Canada's answer to a French love letter written in maple syrup and gravy. Poutine was born as a scrappy diner snack, cheese curds squeaking under fries drowned in gravy, before it somehow became a national obsession people now argue about like sports teams. Tourtière shows up every holiday season like clockwork, a spiced meat pie that smells like Christmas even before you cut into it. And maple syrup? Quebec doesn't just use it, it practically runs on it, sneaking into breakfasts, desserts, and even glazed meats like some edible currency.
Maritime cuisine. This is Canada with sand between its toes and salt in its hair. Out here, food comes straight from the ocean's front door. Lobster rolls stuffed embarrassingly full, oysters slurped right off the shell, and chowder so thick a spoon practically stands up in them. Fishing families built this cuisine long before menus existed, cooking whatever the sea decided to hand over that morning. There's nothing fancy about it, and that's exactly the charm. The seafood is the whole show. Newfoundland cuisine. If Canada had a rugged, weathered old sea captain personality, it would taste like Newfoundland. Fish and Brewis takes salted cod and rock-hard bread and turns them into something oddly comforting, a dish born from generations of surviving brutal winters with whatever could be preserved. Jig's dinner, a boiled plate of salted meat and root vegetables, still shows up on Sunday tables like a weekly ritual nobody dares skip. The flavors are humble, but there's real grit and history simmering in every bite. Prairie cuisine. Out on the wide-open plains, food gets big, hearty, and unapologetically filling. Beef reigns supreme here. Thick steaks and slow-simmered stews that practically demand a nap afterward. Pierogies and sausages hint at waves of Ukrainian and Eastern European settlers who arrived over a century ago and never stopped cooking their grandmother's recipes. Bread earns a starring role too, since these fields have been feeding wheat to the rest of the country for generations. Pacific Northwest Canadian cuisine. British Columbia basically threw fresh seafood and Asian culinary mastery into a blender and came out delicious. Wild salmon gets smoked, grilled, and practically worshipped along the coast. Sushi culture runs deep here, and it's no accident. Vancouver is home to one of the largest Japanese communities outside Japan itself. Add in farmers markets overflowing with seasonal produce, and you've got a food scene that feels equal parts ocean and orchard. Indigenous Canadian cuisine. Long before settlers ever set foot on this land, Indigenous communities were already mastering it. Bannock, that humble fried or baked bread, has survived generations and countless kitchens, even as its ingredients shifted under colonial influence. Wild game like moose and elk, paired with foraged berries and roots, form the backbone of everyday meals for centuries. Today, a new wave of Indigenous chefs is reviving these traditions with real pride, blending old techniques with modern creativity in a way that feels like history finally getting its spotlight back. Ontario cuisine. Ontario doesn't really have one food identity. It has hundreds crammed into one province. Toronto alone can serve you an entire world tour of flavors without ever leaving downtown. Butter tarts might be the closest thing to a true Ontario original, a sweet, gooey pastry that somehow avoids being sickly, despite basically being sugar and butter in a shell. And out in wine country near Niagara, farm-to-table dining has turned into something of a local sport, with chefs racing to show off whatever's freshest that week.